Let's deep dive into the Fortin Nameless suite. That is a amp sim plugin full of metal brutality. It's so brutal I can't even open my eyes. It's very metal, actually. As soon as you open the default preset, it just gives you brutal. It's super heavy. But what I would like to do is tame that beast a little bit and bring out some of its rock glory. Let's pull back on the super cutting thing and see if we could bring out some of the richer body tones. So for starters, it's a plugin suite. So there are 3 sections. There is the pedal in front, the Fortin grind, the Nameless plugin head, and the cab sim and mic sim section. The grind pedal has a lot to do with the cutting sound. Now if you turn it off, the bottom end gets loose and big and blossomy, but you also get sort of a wider frequency sound. For me, there's really no point in the knob, because if you turn the knob down, it also brings the input level down as well, and you lose that chunky beef. If you turn it up, it just goes nuts up. I mean, that's pretty cool, but it's pretty nice where it is. I'm going to take it off for this purposes. Now let's switch over to the amp section. The amp has sort of 2 modes. There's a high gain mode and a low gain mode, which you switch by just clicking anywhere in this zone. When you're in the high gain mode, you have 2 gain stages. High gain also uses this guy here. So now that no longer functions, you could just turn that down. And in the low mode, you've got your gain here. So you're using these guys. I'm just going to back the gain off there. So it's still really biting. So I'm going to pull down. First, the presence, you could just disappear the presence. I'm going to pull this treble back. So that's a lot warmer. And the mid carries a lot of tone from this plugin. It's not only the mids, but it's kind of the whole body and the cut. So everything disappears. So still kind of edgy. What I'd like to do is get the gain down, but I don't want to lose the body. Still really bright and edgy when I pull the gain down. The trick to this is using your input. Don't use the gain knob here. So the input, I really didn't lose much gain, but it did open up the tone to a less cutting, biting thing, and a lot more sort of warmth. So I'm going to pull that down even more. When you lower your input, you get into that sort of classic rock tone. So now I have range on that gain knob as well. So that's cool. Now I have a lot of gain range, but it's a lot beefier. So, I mean, this is a Friedman Cali. It's not meant to sound like an SG, but I'd like to kind of get in there and tweak. You have access to an incredibly clean, perfect boost pedal. You just throw an EQ in front, which now is your guitar's boost pedal going into the amp. And I like to throw an EQ at the end as well. So now I have a little EQ there. So I'm just going to take a little bite off of that. Right at the fizzly part. So just a smidge. That's like 2 dB. I'm going to roll off a little subs. And push a little of the body in the mids. Nice. So this EQ, again, this is after the amp sim plugin. I'm going to just put away, but it's still on. Now I have my boost pedal EQ. And this one's fun because you could do all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm going to filter the top off. Again, I'm going kind of for an Angus SG kind of thing. All right, that's in the zone. And the way I'm using the filter too, I like to get a little boost right before the drop off. It's kind of a classic analog filter trait. So I'm going to pull some bottom end off, and I'm going to boost a little like mid, low mid in this too. So that sounded pretty beefy. Love it. So the gate section here it's got a really strong gate, especially when you have the gain going bonkers. It can get really grabby. You see I'm touching the guitar and there's nothing. And it'll just grab notes, which is great because you could just automate this if you want in your track, or just take it all the way off. And now you got to deal with this. There you go. Just a touch. Just a touch in this case to get rid of that. This is the cab section of the plugin suite. It comes default with 2 mics going on, a SM57 and a KM184. They work really nice together. It's good about, you can switch them out, but to be honest, there's not that huge a difference going on here. And even the position and distance, you know, it sounds right for the plugin at these settings. However, you can actually change the IR and change then the character of the plugin, which is a really cool thing that they let you do from within the plugin. So here, let me show you a little bit here. If you take off a second mic, get a little more edge, which is kind of cool. And then you would have to adjust the volume because now you just have one of those mics going. But we've got that. I'm going to turn off that plugin. I'm going to go to a duplicate, so we're in the same place here. I'm going to turn off that one, and I'm going to load an IR. So I brought in a Celestion IR from the Celestion pack. In this, I have the Celestion Creamback 412, and then now in this other slot, I'm putting the room mic from the Creamback. So now you could really transform what you got going on. This is their blend on the Creamback. So it's way warmer and sort of fatter and a little bit of room in there. Now I can bring in tons of room. Which is, I mean, that's crazy. But you could control it and just back that off to whatever you like. Now, let's go back to where we were at. This is the stock Fortin cabs. And then this is third-party IR of the Celestian cabs. And because it's all in a plugin, you can automate them, so you have one for your maybe crunchy rhythm section and one for your leads, and it'll really help them stand out from each other when you're in a mix there. So I hope these tips help you get the most out of your plugin. Thanks for watching. Be well, be happy. See you.